here, what we have is a situation where we had a right to do it. And so for those reasons, I ask that you grant the appeal and reverse this man's conviction.
Anything else on the state?
I would only briefly say that in the Floyd case, no one was arrested. That's what the distinction is there. So people were allowed to film the encounter, and obviously other things happened from that case. But the issue is not that they were filming, that no one was arrested there. And the case law makes it clear in Lisenby and other ones, if there's a probability of substantial harm or death, then individuals can actually interfere and it wouldn't be obstructed. So the case law, I just want to point out that distinction, but otherwise I have nothing else.
Okay, so this time the court's gonna grant the appeal and reverse the conviction, based on its First Amendment protected conduct, and Mr. Orm, you can prepare the court.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, John.
He needs to be released from custody, so.
He'll be released.
We'll.
Hey!
Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop.
Oh man.
Oh, man.
The hell yeah, I'm ready.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, boy.
Oh, no.
That's a good
That is an
feeling.
arrestable offense. I'm sorry.
Get your dirty paws off my man.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, you
Now
can't
it is
get
time
much-
for the
you can't get much cooler than that. And then,
That
You
is
know, we'll-
good.
guys, hold on, let me get you on the big screen here so everybody can see us. So, everybody, I'm attorney Michael E. Line. As you guys know, I am an attorney licensed in Texas and California. I do personal injury, civil rights, and some criminal defense. And my background is in appellate law. I'm not licensed in Nevada. I'm grateful that Chille was able to find a great appellate attorney and a great judge. And so today I have all of the true supporters of Chille who didn't turn their
Hey,
back
Chille.
or were not fair weather friends, people who stuck by his side the whole time. And that's Texas Gal Audits, Brick Jonesy, BZ Watchdog with his indestructible trifold, and you're in my favorite, you're in my favorite moderator, big old Let's OTVO. So everybody give me a bunch of ones for all the loyal Chille DeCastro
One.
supporters. Give a bunch of ones. And you guys don't have to say free Chille anymore. So just
I
think about that.
know.
You say free Chille. So that hashtag is going to go away now.
Now we
But
get
I'm
to say Jackboot Doug Pigs
Yeah.
OTVO.
Yeah.
So guys, go ahead.
OTVO.
Yeah, everybody here.
TVO.
Yeah, OTVO. So everybody here in the sidebar, if you Texas Gal or Brick or any of you guys, if you know anybody in the sidebar, start talking to them and answering their questions.
How do you see the sidebar? Just hit the chat thing, I guess.
Yeah, on the upper right, there's like a little comments like button or something. If you click on that,
That's
it'll
why I got
open
my
up.
computer up so I don't miss any chat.
Yeah,
Okay, I can see.
Yeah, but thanks, Innocent Auditor, for showing up, and Space
Dude,
Wrangler.
we got like 8,000 ones in the sidebar.
That is so cool. Now, Chille's not out yet, guys. So, you may not see me back on the channel once he gets out. So savor your moment with the crazy lawyer who didn't give up on his buddy.
No,
this
you
may
did
be the
not.
last time.
You stayed faithfully by his side. You went and visited him. You answered calls. BZ answered his calls.
He was innocent, and I knew it the whole
I
time. He was
wrote
falsely
the
arrested.
judge. I mean, OVTO was on top of it at all times. Brick Jonesy had his back. I mean, this is a good crew of people that really,
Yeah.
really do believe in the Constitution.
Yeah,
You
that's
know.
right.
Here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. The Constitution applies to everyone, even crazy people, and that's the whole point. So, not that I'm saying anyone's crazy.
I mean, I
but
guess that's why I like
Crazy
it.
people get rights.
Everybody tries to paint you as a crazy if you stand up for your rights, and I just
So
wanted
I'm
to
like,
show
so
you.
I guess I fit right in. The crazy
I guess I'm crazy.
constitutionalist,
I guess I'm crazy. Yeah. Y'all
So
must be
I mean,
crazy.
Just remember this, Michael. How long have I been saying that his appeal will win and he'll get denied his bail, he'll get denied all this stuff, and then all this stuff. In fact, I even think the charges will get dropped on the second case. I've been pretty positive about it, and I've been right so far.
Well,
And I just want to say, I told Chille to keep his head high up. when I wrote
This
him.
lady
when I
needs to
talked-
be on the Supreme Court of
That's what I
Nevada.
was gonna. That's what I was. Gonna,
Yeah.
This lady
Yeah, but-
needs to be doing like bigger and better things than what she's already doing.
yeah.
She needs to, because she understands and upholds the Constitution. That is what we need. That's glorious.
First
And-
Amendment grounds. First Amendment grounds. That was just when I heard that. That just was so beautiful to me.
If we
Yeah.
could just clone her 12 people and put them on the Supreme Court, we'd be great.
Yeah.
Well, let's listen to what this judge has to say. You guys got to see the outcome, so it was kind of a spoiler.
I got to watch it live. I loved it.
I watched.
Yeah.
I watched what BZ had sent me because I was in the middle of that a cop watch that was kind of insane, but we won't talk about that. But
Right,
he had
all
sent
right.
me, and I got to watch it, and I was just, it was beautiful. You know,
Well, let's get into some beauty.
Hey, before we do, I only got one comment to make.
Yes, sir.
Judge Zimmerman, your judicial complaints coming, baby.
Is
Here, here.
Present,
naughty, naughty girl.
the attorneys can state their appearances.
You are Chris Gorham on behalf of Mr. DeCastro.
Got lean.
No.
But you can sit down if you want. You don't have to stand up throughout the whole hearing.
Man,
That's how I knew we were going to win right there.
Isn't she
Might be a
awesome?
minute.
I don't know about the
I don't
music,
even
but
think
whatever.
we have to stay for that.
Mr. Orm, I'm assuming.
Yeah, proceed, Your Honor.
Absolutely.
Hey, Mike, they're in the sidebar. They're calling you a legend.
Seems that
for
everybody
helping
knows
Billy.
that, right?
Just doing my job. That's what
I'm
we're
not
supposed to
sure.
do.
I filed a lot of federal case laws suggesting you can tell police officers. but
Loyalty
state doesn't
above
seem to
all
dispute
else.
that. In this case, you have a person who, for a living, this man for a living, that's his living, he films police officers. He has more than 500,000 subscribers. He is very, very famous as a First Amendment auditor. He is known as he testified around the United States.
Yeah, he
And
just went
does
from
this
legend to myth
constantly.
by winning. this.
right?
As I look at this case, there are multiple
Yeah.
problems with it. It goes to
Multiple.
trial. So let's
The
start.
man, the myth, the legend.
There's a letter written to the judge, and it's, I cite to it.
You've been working hard
I have
for
a
it, man.
copy in the appendix.
Yeah.
And the letter says this man's going to film the proceedings. The judge says, empty your pockets, suit pockets, all sorts of pockets, empty them.
Yeah, I heard that was, I think that was like somebody from the Nevada judges or something, like sold them out. That's what I heard. I don't know if it's true.
And the judge also demands that defense counsel turn your phone off. And she said, I don't want to be part of your YouTube channel. We already
Right.
are.
Yeah, so she knew
This
about
is
it.
the starting point to this trial.
That was the starting point of the trial.
She's a BB, biased bitch.
Facts.
What do you do? Have a right to determine who's guilty, absolutely. But what was interesting.
I want a
in
BB in the
state's
sidebar.
Argument is they forgot.
One
to
All I
word,
can say is
great.
her decision was wrongly decided, in my opinion.
Make sure your phone's off. It's all directed at him
Concur.
and his
Don't
attorney.
praise the
You can't take
judge.
cell phones.
Okay,
You can't do
whatever.
that.
William
It's
Zander.
structural error to do that. And it
Now,
also-
just really quick, I got to tell you guys something. Chille couldn't have gotten a better gift than what he got with this state prosecutor or appellate lawyer, whatever he is. Many people might think he's not a really good lawyer, but my position is that a lawyer's job, especially a government lawyer's job, is primarily, first and foremost, to do justice. And when you look at his arguments and the statements that he made at the end, you'll see that he basically was siding with Chille in the court, that this was a bullshit arrest and conviction.
shows that the court had an animus towards Mr. DeCastro. Then, Judge, he makes a statement to the marshal. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. It's clearly unacceptable.
Look at all the BBs in the sidebar.
Agitated by it. Understandably so.
That's
As
right.
I look at that, I'm like, I come in these.
Can't believe there's only 600 people in here. This is like a monumental occasion.
It's more than here's the
I
deal.
understand. That's a different matter.
We
It's
do
not
have
a
more
trial.
than here's the deal, but they were
Chille
off
used to
track.
get- Chille used to get thousands
Yeah.
of viewers. So
There are.
They were hitting something.
Can do if somebody's being disruptive. Just because somebody's disruptive in a murder.
That's right.
I don't think the trolls have too much to celebrate today.
I love what this lawyer says. Just because he's
Doesn't mean you're gonna
disruptive
find
or
Or suggest that the person committed murder. murder.
Yeah, that's not a
Yes.
crime.
It's not a crime.
No, it's not.
Freedom of speech, baby, has no distance.
Yeah, that's pretty
But it
good.
was
Yeah,
clear
But I
then
love how he
the trial was
presents
going
it.
the wrong way.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And how he
That's the
states
foundation.
it. It's strong.
Yet the police officer testifies.
Well, he's feeding off the court's energy too. He can see that he has
Says
a
that he's a
sympathetic
member of the
judge.
press, identifies him immediately as a member of the press. I have
For sure.
video here. I also have exhibits.
Yeah, a decent guy too, you know. You can just tell. It's his stature, you know. That's just, you know, you can tell. You look at a guy, his stature,
He wouldn't back up.
Yeah.
The
what he stands
prosecutor,
for.
Then they started on the 21-foot rule. It's an imaginary rule.
And initially, I wasn't too
It's
thrilled with those.
imaginary. I mean, it is. It's imaginary. How anyone can measure 21 fucking feet naturally is retarded. We could barely do 6 feet during COVID.
Coming to with this.
Yeah.
And the prosecutor's arguing, well, he's violating 21-foot rule. There's no such
I
thing
can
as a
only
21
dream of
foot
how
rule.
Chille.
And
No
it's
such
different
thing.
as a bad
Bingo.
and completely retreated.
Just
Right. So
isn't.
real quick. So everybody, really quick. So remember the 21-foot rule. All the trolls and everybody. Oh, this is this rule, and it's 21 foot, and my uncle's a cop.
Unpublished doesn't exist.
And then the court basically is going, yeah, that's right. It's total BS. Doesn't
Fake
apply here.
policies.
They don't argue. Yeah.
And everything that I
But
said was
understand
true.
it is
I knew it was all
just using
BS.
myself in murder cases, and that is what they're
Hey,
arguing
real
that
quick,
my clients are
Michael,
enduring
real
is
quick.
Yes,
that
sir.
if a man
Yeah.
So all the troll channels are quiet about this. They're trying to find something else at this moment.
Oh,
Except
no,
Well,
trust
other-
me, they're not. They're attacking the judge. Look
For
on.
hang on. Except for Fraudent Troll, he did put out a video 4 hours ago, but I like how he labels it. He labels it it's about to get so much worse. A new monster is born, Frauditor Delete Laws 2.0. So he even knows it's coming.
That's funny. Well, hey, at least a bunch of people will get a chance to make money off of a true freedom fighter while they take a position against freedom. So good for them. Maybe in Cuba they can set up a station there for
Well,
themselves.
the best thing is all these Canadians who want to tell us how to run our U.S. Constitution because
Oh my God. I know those jackwagons are all on
and
Here's
I'm
the
like,
Deal.
I'm sorry, like your soldiers
yeah.
didn't fight for our U.S. Constitution.
Oh yeah,
Let's
oh
not
yeah,
even,
yeah.
not.
Did you hear that the
Bad
judge
ideas, eh?
overturned the case, eh?
You got wrong ideas, eh?
That's
You
what
got
it's
wrong
all
ideas.
about, eh?
Oh
Sorry.
yeah.
So sorry about that, but
Hey,
let's
hoser,
keep
you
talking
should
about
pay.
Chile. I just got to say, see that flag? See all the flags that we have on this panel right now?
USA.
Look at all these flags we got on this panel. That flag means
USA.
something because that
You wanna get-
our Constitution means something to us.
Hey,
that
all you
live
hose
here.
heads on this channel,
There,
eh?
I got my flag.
All you hose heads on this channel, go out for a rip, eh? We don't need you here, eh? Take off, hose heads.
That's what I'm saying. I don't need no foreign government taking over my government, eh?
I
That's
don't need
right,
no
eh?
stinking badges, eh?
Eh?
Hey.
Hey, let's give all of our money like to the government, eh? In communist China, eh? Yeah, just let you know. And if your grandma can't make it to the hospital, eh? Well, it's okay. She can just do euthanasia, eh?
Hold on. Let's let these other governments
Look
tell
at
us
this.
what
We
our
got
government should do.
854 people in here now.
Oh yeah, eh? Let's keep on rolling this bean footage,
So
eh?
anyways,
Welcome in, eh?
let's keep talking about Chile. This is about Chile.
within 21
About
feet,
Chile.
you won't be able to draw your weapon. That's what they're taught. So
The country
it's
or the
something you
man?
use in a self-defense case. Oh, look, the guy was, coming, and so my guy had no choice but to shoot. I understand that's what police officers are taught, but that's got no bearing on this. There is no 21-foot rule, and in fact, we just go to Click. Click is a First Circuit case, both the state and myself rely upon it. And in Click, I thought the language was so important to this case, because in Click, they begin speaking about that officers, in that case, person is filming on the Boston Common, filming from 10 feet away, 10 feet away. That's
10
very
feet,
relevant.
10
because the
feet.
police officer in our case said, Mr. DeCastro was 10 feet away. And so the First Circuit said that is 10 feet away. And then the First Circuit starts saying, police officers need to deal with provocative and challenging speech. They further identify that when a police officer comes in contact with somebody who's being rude or obnoxious, that they feel like they shouldn't be filmed, that they shouldn't have to endure that. And the First Circuit then goes on to talk about the officers sometimes retaliate because they don't like it. They don't like it. And they said that's what happened in Click. The officers didn't like it. You don't film us. You have no right to film us. Okay? And so when I look at the situation, I'm like, officers, we have a right to film officers. In fact, we have an actual statute on it. NRS 171.1233. This is cited in page 2 of my reply brief in footnote 1. Subsection 2, subsection A states, a peace officer shall not act to interfere with a person's reporting of law enforcement activity, including, without limitation, by A, intentionally preventing or attempting to prevent a person from recording a law enforcement activity. You got a right to do it. We know it by statute. We know it by federal law. So what does Mr. DeCastro do?
One
When
for
the
Castro.
officer tells him, back up, I can prove he does. I've attached the exhibits.
He can.
I don't, if the state wants me to, I'll put it up and I'll show it, but we can see from Exhibit A that where Mr. DeCastro is standing, he's standing in a particular parking space. You can see in Exhibit B, he has now.
So just really quick, just as an attorney, as a lawyer observation, I don't know if you see, but there's some matching and mirroring going on between the court and the attorney. And this is a very, very excellent technique by Christopher Oram. I got to hand it to him. He, despite the typos and the grammar errors that Darcy and all the people who hate Chille pointed out, and I don't know,
Like Bird.
but what we consider to be the anti-Chille crowd, just trying to destroy his
But
breed.
can't we forgive grammar errors, though? You know what I'm saying? As long as the logistics and the meat of the fabric is there.
No, what I think we need to do is we need to go find.
I'm just asking a lawyer. I'm just asking a lawyer because the lawyer is the one who deals with the courts.
Can we find Officer Bork and hand him a trifold? Because the first thing right there says the right to film cops.
Yes. He needs that definitely for
all Las Vegas
But
Metro
I'm just
needs
asking you, like, okay, even
No,
if
he's got to pay for it, bro.
even if your lawyer did have all of these, grammar errors and things.
It's
But
it's
isn't
okay.
it the fabric and the meat of what he's saying more important than these?
You're going to have mistakes. You're going to have grammar errors.
Okay.
It's pretty normal.
Right? Because we don't have editors like we're making a book, right?
But in oral argument, you can see that he has basically sucked the oxygen out of the courtroom, along with Chille. And I'm sure it hasn't hurt his cause that hundreds, probably millions of views across the world have come out about this.
Yeah.
Just imagine. I mean, that obviously helped. That's why I always tell you guys, film everything. Because that's everything. So let's get back into watching him and the way he's masterfully controlling the proceedings.
I wonder if we can do a fundraiser for Metro to get one of these in all their patrol cars.
I don't, when I say back parking space.
Let's his backstage again.
But he's moving over.
Right, it looks like it's in a parking lot.
Yes, it's a parking lot. He's moving from one parking space away. You can see it's away from us.
We hear you now.
So the state
Soldier.
to continuously argue he would not.
Sailor.
Why
We don't stop.
We don't stop.
And I think the court would say, if you were asked to look at this case and say, what did Mr. DeCastro do when he was told to back up? He backed up a short distance. That would be fair. Maybe the court would not like that language, say maybe it's a few feet. But he did back up. What is not fair is that he would not back up. He would not comply. He did not back up. And then the officer was asked, did you tell him how far? No, because he was disrupted. So I couldn't tell him how far. The 21-foot
disruptive.
10 feet was fine. And in Click, what's more interesting about it is the officers, what Click is deciding is not like this court deciding whether it's activity. Click is suing the officers, and the officers are over in federal court saying, oh no, give us qualified immunity. And the federal court said, no, not for this. You're not getting, we're arresting somebody who's filming. You're going to get sued. You're not getting qualified immunity. You're going to have to fight this and go to a jury. I think that's very relevant because that's what's going to happen with this officer. Undoubtedly, he's going to sue, and I think he's already sued.
Undoubtedly.
Don't do that. But I know that is what's taking place. So what is hindering this man from obstructing him from writing his ticket?
Nothing. Go write your ticket, little doggy.
Look at Mr. DeCastro. I think to myself, here's one of these auditors. Walk over and write a ticket. He was asked the question, which I thought was really good at trial. He was asked, how did he obstruct you? How were you obstructed? And he said, well, I didn't know what his intentions were. I didn't know. Maybe he was armed. Well, that doesn't obstruct you. How does that obstruct you?
You got that,
Armed-
guys?
armed
Exactly.
with the-
How
yeah, he
in
was
heck
armed
does
with a
it
camera.
obstruct you?
How are you
How?
obstructed? I didn't know his intentions equates to being obstructed. Look at the judge. Look at her face. I mean, he is absolutely.
Hold on.
He is taking
Zoom
charge.
in on that. Can you zoom in on it?
I got it big as I could, but you can still
That's
see
what
it
she
pretty
said.
That doesn't, he never gets in the way. So let's fast forward to Wilson. Okay? 3 weeks before
She's got her hand on her head.
Look at her body language.
My arguments.
I mean,
She rubs
she's
her
shaking her
chin.
head. You know,
Statute.
sales
She
101.
puts
Got
her, she puts
agreeing
her,
with them.
her hand under her chin to keep her composure.
Look, Mike, pause it for a second.
Yes, sir.
Pause
Hang
it.
on.
Yeah, you got to pause that.
Okay,
All right.
so
You got
like
to
this, real
rewind
quick.
all those movements.
Real quick. So Zimmerman was like, guilty right off the bat. Here you are. This lady's like, holy shit, why are we going any further? He's innocent. Extreme opposites. One likes to be on
Yeah.
camera. The
Like
other one
this?
likes freedom.
She goes like
So,
this, and then she goes,
I know, she was like,
and then she goes like this. Like, are you effing kidding me right now?
and you know she's already read the
Is-
brief prior to this.
Yeah,
course.
she read
Right.
the brief and then like sees it, and she goes,
Probably saw the videos too.
Right, and she knows exactly what this is. She knows what it is. It's a film in the cops thing, and so the cop, she knows exactly what it is.
And she ain't a bootlicker. She's a Constitution lover because
Yep.
that flag means something. That Constitution means something, people.
Well, it looked like she had a constitution on the wall in her courtroom too. Or
Judge Levin for Supreme Justice.
So
Here.
No, I mean, Chile,
Yeah, I
thank
plan on
goodness,
writing her a letter.
man. Thank goodness for
Right.
Chile. Thank goodness for Chile for.
Thank goodness for the trifold.
give me a bunch of ones for the judge, guys, in the sidebar. And I agree with you, Letso TVO. This would be a time that probably would be appropriate to congratulate or thank a public servant for making a good decision. And that's what Letso TVO is saying he wants to do.
Oh, I mean, I understand that, but when they do good work, we got to let them know when they do a good job because they won't
Exactly.
continue to do a good job.
That's
You
what I
know,
think too. And videos like this too. By the way, this is going to
and
be
our convictions, negative and positive, can make their convictions go a certain way. You know, so
Well, she's also, by the way, she's also a Las Vegas native. She graduated from Las Vegas High School and went to the University of Nevada. So
they all want chili. Everybody's saying they want chili. Sorry, guys.
I want some chili and some crackers. Oh, that's what we have right now. We have some crackers, chili.
We got a bunch of crackers in this.
it's almost like wintertime. It's almost like that home good food, that good chili. You know, good old Texas chili, some good wholesome food sitting in your stomach, feeling like America.
We interpret
up your belly.
197.190 was applied only to physical conduct and fighting words. The court further explained that blocking the path of an
Talking about
officer
Wilson.
may amount to obstruction. Well, that didn't happen. We can look at the video. There's no blocking. There's no blocking that goes on. And they also say that it could be non-aggressive, which made me curious. So I went and read the case. I thought, what could non-aggressive be? And it makes perfect sense. I would have never seen how non-aggressive could be obstruction. But what they then cite is they were pulling over an individual, police were. And then the guy who I guess is armed then starts to run from police. Well, now they've got to go chase it. So clearly you're hindering the police. So that made perfect sense. And that's the case they cited. What is interesting about Wilson is they also go on to say, as construed by this court, NRS 197.190 prohibits only physical conduct and fighting words that hinder, delay, or obstruct a public officer in the discharge of official duties or powers.
Go write your
As
ticket,
such,
little
law
doggy.
enforcement has no discretion to arrest persons for protected speech or for physical conduct that is merely annoying and offensive. Judge, I have no doubt I know you've watched this video, and I could see how anybody could look at this and hear the speech, get in your car, little doggy, and find that to be annoying. I see that.
You sure did, Michigan.
That's protected. And we
Damn,
see
1,000 people in here
by
watching.
Our courts in Nevada,
Yeah.
by numerous
Michigan Woodsman, right on,
They went
brother.
on to say,
Everybody
Everybody hit like, subscribe.
in Wilson.
Yeah, hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that like and subscribe button.
And they point out in Wilson that on appeal, this court explained the district court did not have the benefit of our interpretation of 197, 190 as being limited to physical conduct or fighting words, and therefore did not consider whether there was sufficient evidence that Wilson engaged in physical conduct or other fighting
Damn,
words
1,300 in
to
here.
support her conviction.
Welcome in, fam.
Why I think that's
That's
important
right.
is because
Come on in and join the party.
big picture-
Chile won, guys. They're reading the sidebar. Chile won his appeal.
That's what happens when you learn the law, know your rights, and have your trifold.
Thanks for the Stomper super chat. I'm not moving
Look at all
FK
this
an
litigation
inch.
we're
Yeah.
doing here. This isn't new. I didn't come up with, oh, look, there's a new case that came out about a First Amendment issue. A lot of the cases I'm citing are, 20 years old, 15 years old. This is old law. If we have this issue before you on a case, isn't it incumbent upon me to file this pretrial?
I wonder why that didn't occur in this case.
And the state
Malpractice.
says something interesting, which I understand the state's advocating. The
Back
state says
there, I don't know if you can hear
trial
that.
counsel
Sorry.
filed a memorandum. Well, I'm like, it was comical. I understand what the state.
It was comical.
It was comical.
Conviction.
So was the kangaroo court.
Trial counsel, what he did is he filed some memo that right when the judge is making her decision, finding him guilty, she's like, what memo? And when I filed them, she didn't read it. And then the state correctly, the state said, strike it. It's late. So what trial counsel does is, at the last minute. Can you
The
imagine us coming here
papers,
talking about
please.
that? All of a sudden, I'm like, oh, Judge, there's a First
You
Amendment
have
issue.
it.
I'm
It's
like,
called
okay,
your
you should brief
trifle.
that and let me know. And I hear the state's argument, and the state says courts are presumed to know law. And I know you know law,
That's
but I
right.
also know, Judge.
No, the
that
state does this. The state says,
Where are your
Your
papers?
papers.
Where are they?
Papers 9.
Oh, you don't have any papers?
Oh, but I have a trifle. I have a paper cut. It's trifle. You must accept upon Hitler.
A Miranda or Messiah issue. I think that it's incumbent upon us to give the material to the court, let the state oppose it, reply, so the court can look.
That's right. Let the fucking state do it.
The court's clerk will maybe find research that interests you on this so that you can make an informed decision, as opposed to at the very last minute in a factual trial, like, oh, by the way, there was a Messiah issue. I don't understand why he did that. This was the issue. This should have happened beforehand. This should have been litigated beforehand. The court, like yourself, just like we're doing here.
yeah. And so just from a lawyer's point of view, I did a breakdown on this before. Chile's videotape that he shot should have been entered into evidence. There should have been a motion to suppress.
Absolutely.
There should have been a motion to suppress evidence as well. And I didn't see any of that happen. I see a memorandum of points and authorities being filed late. So on an independent basis, the court probably did have reversible error for ineffective assistance of counsel. But again,
So
the
I
court
don't
reversed based on First Amendment, not ineffective assistance of
They
counsel.
did not. They did.
I don't know
not.
if
They
I don't know
made
if
none
you've
of
seen
these
that.
judgments upon his counsel being defective or deficient or ineffective in his case. It was all because of his constitutional rights that this was
First
not a case
Amendment.
in the first. It wasn't a case in the first place. It
She
came
didn't
down to the
even-
Constitution that's why this is not a case anyway.
Hey, just so you guys
She didn't even
guys know.
approach the ineffective assistance. She went right for First Amendment, which is
Hey,
what we
is
want.
Brick's mic on? Because I hear him talking, but everybody talks over him.
Yeah, that was a cop I just filmed back there right here while I was walking on the pathway. I don't know if you guys seen that.
Got
He
your
was-
I
trifold?
didn't.
He's pulling somebody over right behind me. I'm walking down the path. I'm not going down there. I really don't want nothing to do with it.
Film it live on the live stream.
Hey,
Get off the
It's
live
off the
stream,
path.
Go film it.
It's
It's
only
off the path.
obstruction if you call
it's
him a little
off the
doggy.
path.
We want to
It's
see you
off
get
the
arrested,
We
bro.
want
Come on.
you to call
Yeah.
doggy.
Yeah, we
It's
want to
some
see you get
scary
arrested
stuff.
so we can troll and talk about you.
Ask
I'll tell you what, I'm
ask the
gonna walk
driver if he's got V papers and he trifold.
I'm gonna walk down there. If it's still going on, I'm gonna keep it on the film.
All right,
man.
bro.
But
Put it
I'm
on
here
Just
for
tell
you.
him you're live streaming and over 1,000 people
Live
are
stream.
watching.
If you go up to the cop, just make sure if he comes up to you, you better answer him if he asks.
Where are your papers, Matt? Where are they?
Papers 9.
You don't have any papers?
What is your name and badge number? Right here.
Man, it's so good, so good.
It
That's
doesn't
the
matter.
cop's name. If he says
It
officer
doesn't
right
matter
here,
either. My name and my badge number doesn't matter.
Right
'cause it's
here.
Right here.
damn, y'all got a lot of family members on the law enforcement side of the house.
Bro, it never ends, bro. They're all out here now. They're coming for everybody.
They're all
Nobody's safe.
out here, right there.
Everywhere.
Oh, I forgot that one. There you go.
The opportunity to go look at it.
I got a drone ahead of
My
me.
rendition of it is not the way you want to go. It's the state's rendition. But the fact of the matter is, at least you had it, and Judge Zimmerman did.
Right.
And that's ineffective because he should have showed the court these issues. And if he had, just like here, the Wilson case would have come up. I know it was brand new. It was only 3 weeks before the trial. But then the court could say to the state, hey, you've got to have physical conduct or fighting words. We can't just do this on the driver's safety. Because at one point, the judge ruled, because the prosecutor kept arguing, and the police officer testified, well, the driver had a right to privacy. Like, the driver doesn't have.
I mean, drivers out in public. I don't know if
Right.
the driver had a right to privacy. When you're out in public.
You know that, guys?
Don't have a right to.
When you're
I
in
don't
public, there's no
I
such
don't
thing
know
as
that.
privacy.
Of course, she doesn't have a right to privacy. Remember, that was a big issue with the court. Oh, this poor driver needs their
Bro, that must have just been a warning. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
I'm gonna do it.
I mean, I'm just saying, like,
Ask him for name and badge
what
number.
privacy in public, once again, that we always have to teach them about.
Yep. You're right. You're right, Texas Gal.
Every single case. It made me
Frustrating.
realize when I read it.
Yeah, he's just sitting there by himself now. It must have just been a warning.
About problems with the law. 'Cause what I did is I read.
He did
every
light him
single
up,
one of the
though.
cases, and what I found was, oh, this is not at all.
They did light him
what
up,
these
though.
things stand for. In other words,
Was there a drone out there?
Time, place, matter restrictions. Yes, true. The cases
Yeah, he's
stand.
just hanging out on the side of the road now.
Philadelphia, Fields versus City of Philadelphia. Now, when I first saw the video, what came to mind, just jumped to my mind, was I looked at it.
That the copper?
Wait a second. Did
Damn.
George Floyd, weren't they filming it with cell phone? Now, I hadn't really
Got it
followed
cop
that
sighted.
much, but I kind of thought about it, and it ran
Hey,
through my
Brad.
mind. So I then started pulling up the exhibits that I put, and I looked at it, and I said, well, boy, those people are closer. They're closer.
Want to see it again?
Than
You want to see it
Yeah.
again?
Mr. DeCastro.
I don't want to take too much attention away from Mr. Chille
No,
Dog.
we can't. We
All right.
can't.
Go knock on his window. Ask him for his name and badge number.
And she came to court with her uniform on. It was-
But-
it was-
Well, he's off the beaten path, bro. I can't just.
Yeah, don't go through there. Just
Tell him,
look
hey,
at
tell him he's got to leave. He's on private property. Tell him you're gonna trespass
He's
him.
doing a
Easy.
turnaround.
Focus. Focus.
I am
I don't know where he's going.
Barely.
We come once.
Very close to him.
Twice.
When I look at that, I'm like, well, how is she not in the same situation?
They come through here all the
as him?
time, bro.
She's admitting
Yeah.
she's using foul language, and I remember her trial testimony.
Kind of a
She was
regular
crying.
spot.
I think it was extraordinarily impactful. I want to.
There's a hiding spot they got back here.
Police have to deal with.
That's entrapment. He's hiding.
OBTO, come on, say something. I've been waiting for you all night.
Right there, right back there, right by the door. And
Oh,
I
yeah,
seem
this
to
gets good
remember
right here.
I was in a capital trial, came up from a break.
Hey, James Conley, new member.
And
New
what I
member,
see
James
is
Conley.
lots of
Woohoo!
box. Having to deal with, I don't know if
Always
she's a
film
homeless
them
lady or what.
polices, man.
Small
Allie
Caucasian.
Bell with a $1.99
I'm
super
watching,
chat.
and almost nobody's in here. And she's saying,
Yeah.
"Officer,
Child alert."
there comes
So you
backup.
guy know, I'm in a tiny little town.
There
Because
comes
she
This
wants
place
us
has
to be
like
quiet
3
so she
officers.
can hear.
Your-
Allie Bell says everybody shut up and so she
I
can
know
hear.
that because I watched her try to kick him in the groin. She tried to kick him, and I watched it happen. And
I watched
I don't think she was
it.
arrested. At some point, they did everything they could to just get her out of here. She was so obnoxious and abusive to your marshal. Yet the restraint shown was remarkable. I remember that because I addressed it with Officer Hosky. How did you do that? To me, it was amazing that a human being could practice that type of restraint.
Right.
And that's what he did. And that's what this officer should have done. He was angry. When the state says to you, and when the officer said, I was concerned for officers.
You should film yourself giving him the bird, Brick.
Annoying language that
The
we
bird?
call in the federal
The
courts
bird.
Like this?
Like the bird.
Isn't that how you do it when you're
Howard
doing
Belt wants to
shadow?
hear what they're saying in the trial to court here.
Isn't that the bird?
Counsel, be quiet and sit down. Okay, that's a
Hey,
direct
Greg
instruction,
says,
but
shut
you're
the
not obstructing
up.
me from being quiet and sitting down. He's
Well,
telling me to
everyone
do it.
always tells me shut up.
And so I don't understand how the state can argue when I can see it for myself that the officer was concerned for officer safety. When he says that, when Mr. DeCastro says it, you can see the officer just gets irritated beyond my God, you don't say that to me. He just comes at him. He doesn't pull a taser or anything like that. He's like, you're detained. And then he grabs him pretty hard. And he's trying to say, well, I'm a member of the press. I'm a member of the press. You can't do this to me. He tells him, call your supervisor. Don't do this to me.
Okay, real quick, guys. And so what's the response from all the trolls? Well, where's your press card, eh? If you don't have like an official government card,
No.
you're not
They
really
always
in the
no.
press,
They
you
always
know.
want to know where Chille's
I like
trifold
how
is.
you're putting the A part because
Oh,
most
yeah,
people
because
who want
the
to talk
government's
shit are from
responsible
Canada,
for
eh?
everything. You know,
That's
They
a
have
great
license
point,
to
Michael.
nobody, eh?
That's a great point, Michael.
And
Right?
he's like,
Because
brings out
ultimately, I should be in jail right now if that's the case, right? Since
Oh,
since I
yeah.
just filmed the police, I should be in
Yeah.
jail,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Oh, you were
Unless you got an
obstructing.
official
You were
license from
Bro,
the
I did it right
government.
here on the live stream. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, I'm going to jail.
No, you got to get a license from Trudeau, eh, or communist China, you know, eh,
Oh
or
no,
otherwise
this
you're
is
not really
I
a
got to get it
journalist,
from
eh?
DeSantis.
Oh,
DeSantis.
yeah, eh? For
Oh,
sure,
and I got to
eh?
stay back a ways.
Oh, don't be a hoser, eh? When you're out going for a rip,
He's got a big circle, eh?
You can't, eh?
cell phone, so you know he's not armed, and you know what he is. And even the officer said he knew about First Amendment auditors, but didn't say that they like shoot people, because he was asked that. He goes, I don't know if I said that. You know he was agitated. This wasn't about fear. This was about, truth be told, you can see it's obvious. This officer was agitated. And the federal courts talk about that. They talk about a lot of these officers who don't want to be filmed. And I want to go back to City versus Philadelphia, or Fields versus City of Philadelphia, because in the state's answering brief, they question, why would you be bringing up Floyd? Are you bringing that up? And I realized the state saw, why are you bringing it up? I saw it was directly relevant to filming police. So since they cited Fields versus City of Philadelphia, I went and read it. And it starts off, so what that is that's an individual who's got concerns about unions, and they're filming in Philadelphia. And the court starts off with very, very, very interesting language. This is the Third Circuit. The Third Circuit begins their analysis This is the start of the decision. In 1991, George Holliday recorded video of Los Angeles Police Department officers beating Rodney King. They continue to go on about that. I cite that on page 4 of my reply. This case involves retaliation. Individuals making recordings have also faced retaliation by officers, such as arrests on false criminal charges and even violence. And that's because they're recognizing this. The federal courts around the United States are recognizing that police sometimes don't show the restraint that Officer Hawks does. If you're being filmed and you got some irritating person, sometimes when we walk out of these courts, we got press. They're like, what just happened? Did your client just get convicted? It's like, yes. Did your client just, they want to sentence him to death? Yes. And you have to be calm. I can't just grab people and do it. You gotta suffer it. He didn't stop anything. He didn't grab the officer. He backed off from the officer. Yes, maybe annoying. Yes, maybe provocative, but it is not obstruction. It's not resisting. These are trumped up charges. And that's what the cases show. They can't show you a case. Not a single case could they rely on to show this is obstruction or resistance. Not once. And in fact, like I said, I think trial counsel should have presented it to the judge beforehand. Then the judge could make the correct decision without even a trial. I think if the court had seen it beforehand and not being so agitated by.
This judge is totally focused on Orem, and he even has the attention of the state attorney general dude or whoever he is. I'm pretty impressed, man.
That's Mr. Chen.
Yeah, Mr. Chen.
Mr.
I think Mr. Chen's doing a good job in supporting the Constitution in this particular case. Give me a bunch of ones if you guys agree.
I think Mr. Chen's living in China, USA.
The court could have ruled that
Oh,
this is
sorry,
clearly
racist.
First Amendment speech. Judge, also, so
I just feel like Mr.
I
Chen doesn't
believe
understand the
that I
Constitution.
argued that this is
It's for anyone to
First Amendment
understand. He just
violation.
Wait
doesn't
till he not
understand it.
wait
It's
till he
also
knocks
under
over
the
his tea
Wilson
mug.
decision in the case, federal case law we decided it is clearly arbitrary and capricious. It's being applied incorrectly. And
If I got to get out of here in the
court
next
did
20,
not
30 minutes,
have
guys,
benefit
I'm
of
so
the Wilson
sorry.
decision because Wilson remanded it to tell the district court you need to look at this. That did not happen here, and so that's a problem. I argued judicial
That's because
bias.
she's
They
enslaved.
claimed that there was no objection. Again, trial counsel didn't object when phones started being taken, didn't make any kind of formal objection. But in
I'm
Echeverria
enslaved by my own
and in
people.
Gurry was my case, murder of an FBI agent, there was no objection. It was well before my
My
time.
own family, my own people.
Everybody drop head 74 says hello to Team DLZ. He's so happy Chille's appeal was granted today. As
can I-
Brick would say,
Drophead, my
Team
God,
DLZ
you're
for the win.
live.
AMG
What's
Phil,
going
thank you very
on?
much.
Whoa! Before you go any further, I do have some
Drophead.
have some news about Drophead. I did
Okay.
speak to his wife yesterday.
Okay.
He is having some medical issues.
Okay.
He's not able to talk at the moment, but his voice is getting better to where he might be able to talk shortly. And where he's feeling better to be back in the chat the next maybe couple of days, hopefully. So he is alive, guys, and I just want
He's
everybody
alive.
to say
That is the best news besides Chille being
So
free
prayers
today.
and best wishes.
I
Yeah.
want
Prayers and best
everybody
wishes.
to pray for a speedy recovery and hope that he gets back in here because he's been a long time, not only Team DLZ supporter, but real big supporter of the 1A community.
Nice.
Especially
He supported me. He
Yep.
supported me and he helped me, and I can confirm that. And he is an awesome person. But this is about Chille today. But I can say anyone that donates and does something such a great heed and that is going through trials and tribulations, our community needs to come through and look out for them and just, put your thoughts. It may not be prayers, good thoughts out for that person's care.
1A fam for the win.
Yeah.
Team DLZ for the
Hey,
win.
but you know what? Where's your papers?
Mav, where are they?
Papers,
You don't have any papers?
They're in your bookstore. Will you lick them out of there? Just lick my papers out of your butthole.
Conviction, and it was the trial judge had been the FBI agent who'd been murdered, had actually investigated the trial judge, and so they found that was an implicit bias, and so therefore there was reversal. The judge should have recused herself. She should have realized maybe I should hold this man in contempt, do contempt proceeding, and send this to somebody else. She didn't do that, but I also think it was incumbent upon defense counsel to do a better job and inform her of that, and that leads into my last argument of ineffective assistance of counsel. And I know that on appeal it's rarely considered. However, I cited case law that it's clear as day, and I think the court can.
She's nodding.
Why wasn't this brief?
Yeah.
Why is
Right.
this whole hearing not happening prior to the trial date, so that Mr. Chan or whoever, it was Miss Agnes Alexis, why did
Mr. Chan, whatever.
against trial counsel and let the court make a decision? Judge, under the circumstances, reverse is mandated. It just in every different
Mandated.
area, I think under the Wilson decision, I think under the Click decision, I think on every single decision.
Hey, Michael, I'm camming down, but I'm
I
here.
want to make sure, Judge, that I cover all my points before I turn it over. And that is, they say Mr. DeCastro was angry and hostile. No, this is what he does for a living. That's how he approaches them.
That's right.
Can they handle it? I think in other videos, if the officer handles it well, like Officer Hawks, then he kind of calms down a bit.
If I can say, I want OTVO to speak because he hasn't had much words after this.
What's that? Go ahead, Texas Gal.
I just want to say, I want to hear what OTVO has to say because he hasn't really spoken much on the panel.
Oh, he's not allowed to talk.
Well, I could talk for 3 or 4 days.
Here, I agree with that now.
I'm totally just relishing the moment. My eyes have teared up more times than I'd like to admit on camera. I feel for the people that don't realize that the society that we live in doesn't have to be operated the way it's currently operated.
Yes.
Yes. If it's not a law and it doesn't have to be overturned, if the idiots in power would just realize that we could operate that way. Oh yeah, we've got people that need to be put away. We've got the real true bad people that want to hurt people, harm people, steal
even like
shit.
cops that hurt Carolina. That's a person that needs to be put away. You know what I'm saying? Like,
if not put away, surely dealt with in a more severe manner than he has been dealt with.
Yes.
Right?
Carolina was only that close to
video. We're going to be here all day talking about.
Carolina was only that close to being George Floyd.
I'll withdraw that argument.
Thank you there. Give me a minute
to do this as an auditor. To do this. Yeah, and broad daylight. If it was a female officer, if it's a female officer on a lonely highway going up to Ely, and all of a sudden somebody's approaching at 3 a.m, I think that's a different story. That shows officers like, God, what's happening here? And it's fearful. He does it in the most common way. He comes up, I'm a member of the press, annoying, provocative, all of those things.
He does.
It is something that is sacred to what our system of justice is. And one of the decisions I cited said, this is the difference between us and a free society, where we can go up and be obnoxious to police. Hey, I see what you're doing. I remember from the time I was in law school, I couldn't cite the case, but I wonder if you remember, Mr. Chen remembers it, where somebody comes up to an officer and calls him up, which I think is really, I remember as a law student feeling, you shouldn't do that, that's bad. Right? But the reality is, I then learned from the Supreme Court, it may be bad, it may be obnoxious, if it's your child, you'd be like, what did you say? But it's protected, Judge, and he didn't do anything to violate or have those protections taken from him. I'd ask that you guys.
He didn't.
Listen to the prosecutor.
The sidebar saying Chen's playing pocket pool.
Mr. Oram, considering that our response was called comical, I appreciate the nice words from him today.
Comical.
Regarding first and foremost,
our rights are comical.
Well, listen to him, please.
Even if counsel could have done it, we're still focusing on the prejudice problem. Ultimately, we're here, and this is the appellate court for this matter, so this court's going to make a matter of law decision. So I think ultimately everything regarding that issue gets resolved on a prejudice problem, whether or not Judge Zimmerman was surprised at the information that he was just
nope, today. Doesn't even go to that.
Now, with regard specifically to the First Amendment claim, Mr. Oram mentions that we cite to a number of cases, and the cases factually don't support our position, and I think we recognize that in our brief. There are cases where police officers have stopped individuals from filming encounters that they absolutely had a lawful right to do. This is why
I've been a victim of that.
Talks about time, place, and manner restrictions.
I think you
We
heard
don't
you.
doubt that that's the case, but to suggest that we didn't read those cases, I think is an unfair characterization, because what we're trying to focus on is whether the time, place, and manner restrictions were present in this case. Now, what I would argue, and what I think we argued in our brief, is cases like Glick are relevant to the extent that in that case, the individual clearly was not impeding, obstructing, or being a problem to police officers. The only thing.
No, being a problem, you're allowed to be a problem. This guy's talking.
Oh, my feelings,
was filming officers, and the officers were upset by it. That's a very different situation when we're talking about time, place, and manner in this case. Yes, it's in a public parking lot, but you have to realize that as the facts came out, that the officer was letting the individual film until he approached the driver. Now, I agree.
Letting him?
I was just going to say that. Yep.
In public, which is why we didn't argue it. However, there are other concerns.
Typical public servant gone wild.
Wait. But you know what? They're also trained, just like they say, stop resisting. It's okay that you film, but we're going to prior restraint you over there.
As if I needed permission to exercise.
I don't need no Parmesan to film this spaghetti.
Sounds very.
I did that today. This guy, I filmed from a very far distance, and then as things go down, this guy is in his car, through a whole wash, and he goes, "No, ma'am, you can't go that way. You can't film." I'm on a public sidewalk. What the fuck are you even talking about, dude? I'm gonna
Sounds very
keep rolling.
Canadian to me, eh? Sounds very Canadian, eh?
The lady like to swear like that down here in Texas.
Everybody involved.
Yeah.
Country ladies are real ladylike.
When the officer's communicating with this lady.
Those are those only southern
when that
ladies.
lady is sitting in her
Not
car,
country
not free
gals.
to move
Country
because
gals are
she's subject
never.
to a traffic stop, that the scene needs to be secure. Now, I appreciate that the individual, Mr. DeCastro, could have plenty of followers, and he might have followers. I didn't know of him before this date, and it doesn't appear that the officer did either. So ultimately, the officer is treating this individual as someone who's filming, but doesn't know what the ultimate motivations are. It could be to film, it could be to do something else, it could be to interfere.
Wait, it's a snuff film, BZ, right? He's filming a snuff film, obviously.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that. You know, is it going to go on OnlyFans?
What's Let's OTVO have
It
to
could be to
say?
film. It could be to do this. It could be to blow up the whole building.
I don't know what your intentions are, boy.
Suspicion. That just sounds like suspicion. And suspicion is not a crime, bitch.
What is it, Let's OTVO?
We just need to be able to get along as a people. We may be divided politically, but we need to be divided socially, united socially. We should be able to agree to disagree, but we shouldn't.
Amen, brother.
We don't need to go to war over whether somebody's DD-214 is legit or what.
The key
I said the
part
same
where
thing.
the obstruction begins to occur.
Or
is
the
when
fact that my
officer
crimes I did were
asks him
25 years
to
old.
back away from the driver. He says, well, I'm a filmer. Great, you can film, but I need you to back up. And again, we're quibbling over how much the backup was, but I think
Clearly backed up.
he backed up a couple of feet.
Hear that?
There's no question about
The
that.
judge said he
He didn't.
clearly backed up.
But I think
And
what
then
the officer
but no,
testified to was
he even
wanted
doubles
a
down and
further
goes, well, there's
distance
no
based upon
justification. He
large
clearly
Video
did
call.
that.
Operating.
Rewind
Now,
it.
Mr. DeCastro
Rewind it.
had
He
backed up a
says
number of
he
feet and
clearly
continued
did that.
recording.
Yeah, we heard it.
Wasn't saying.
So then
and
how
doing
did he
the things that
obstruct?
was doing. I think
Well, we
have
can't
a
hear both people.
situation. But the
But how
problem
is
is
Mr. DeCastro supposed to know that he has to back up further?
the officer instructed him in the video that to continue backing up. And rather than
There it is.
backing up further, he stood his ground and said, no, I'm relying upon a fictional 10 feet rule, which I don't think is a matter of law. I don't think the First Amendment says 10 feet is automatically permissible because you can do a lot of things.
There are courts that have held 10 feet is sufficient.
depending on what
Making the
situation is,
argument
right?
for him. Yep.
If I pull out a gun, is 10 feet still sufficient? If I
Stop while you're ahead,
in
Ken.
every state, for instance,
Wait,
so
wait,
there are
wait a
individuals-
minute. If I pull out a Remington that can take you out at 1,000 yards, what does a 10?
Does that look like a Remington?
Just sounds ridiculous.
You can carry guns. So if we were to say automatically that I'm 10 feet away, and that as a matter of law, that's sufficient, I think it's very different if the individual is doing certain things. If the individual has a grenade in their hand, that's why it's time, place, and manner specific. We're not advocating, I didn't advocate for a 21-foot rule, even though that's what the officer said he was trained to do, in that he wanted the individual to move back a certain amount.
But he never vocalized that.
He
He
didn't,
never verbalized, said, hey, I want you to move 20,
That's right.
21 feet back. Go back to this line. Don't come across this line. There was none of that because it happened so fast. I mean, the officer testified it was within like
Way
10 to
too
15
fast.
seconds.
yeah, it's all on
Communication
video
is
as well,
key
Your
to
Honor, so I
reasoning.
agree that he doesn't give a specific
Thank you, Brick.
number. And even if he had given a specific number, it's not that that specific number is somehow constitutionally
I
permissible or
agree.
not. But the point is the manner in which this individual, who's unknown to the officer, is interacting with that officer.
Number one,
in
that's
that very
why.
manner, is what the issue is for us. And based upon that, the officer can't continue to feel that he can do his job, the traffic stop, speaking with the individual, of doing any records checks that need to be done, of writing the actual ticket, while this individual is yelling, refusing to move back at a further distance. And
Just
again,
really quick, you guys see somebody says the trolls are complaining about the judge, but they weren't complaining about Nurse Ratchet, were
You
they?
know,
Right.
I got something for
in
Ted.
hindsight, we can look at him and perhaps say, well, he was only here to put this on.
Is it
the
butthurt
table.
cream?
But ultimately,
Soy
at
sauce.
the time that it's happening, this
Hot
officer,
sauce.
who interacts with him, who even tells him, you're allowed to film. but
How
he
big a
isn't
circle
backing
do
up.
these people need? Is it
think
like a
that's
big
what the
circle or
reason
what?
is.
Like big
That's
circle?
the time, place, and manner restriction.
Chili is spicy.
As we point out in our brief, I think what
He's got that hot
DeCastro
sauce.
believes and what counsel believes is that because Blake said 10 feet, that there's this line of 10 feet, and no matter what, I can do whatever I want within 10 feet. And I think even Wilson, although
That's a stretch.
goes against
Hey,
that
little
proposition
doggy,
that,
the chili
there's some
finger
sort of
pop your
magic number or
asshole.
anything like that. This individual, Wilson, is yelling as there's a suicidal individual who obviously a delicate situation. The police don't want this individual to hurt himself, and Wilson continues to yell and interfere with what's going on. Specifically in Wilson too, that even though they say physical conduct again is made up of multiple different things.
Hey, Mike.
Including what we do with our bodies, but as well
What's up, bud?
What's the amount of you's got it right there? You need to put that on the screen.
See. Ding dong. The trolls were wrong. Ding, ding, ding. I love it.
The wicked.
The snozberries taste like snozberries.
Whoever that is now like one of my new best friends for like 7 days.
The proverbial house just fell on the decision.
You look at that.
That is fucking great.
For multiple pages of various conduct that would entail obstructing. So here, it's not simply about the words. It's not simply about the fact
I am God in the house.
DeCastro was annoying. It's not simply about the fact that DeCastro was saying things like calling the officer.
And what's about a use says he'll take you 7 days.
It's not about that. It's the totality of the circumstance, which
He can take my space here in a second because I might have to go.
Safely and adequately conduct the traffic.
A picture's worth 1,000 words right there.
Yeah.
That is the
When he gets out of
touchdown
the car, I mean, it appears to me he was gonna release her regardless.
with the field
Because
goal.
it was so fast. He said, "You're free to go," and then he went to
You didn't let me.
take care of the other
I just
issue.
wanted to put a
Right
long
there.
pause.
I mean, what we have
Like a
in this particular
narrator.
one is he went and did the records check, and then he mentioned too, she was surprised or even confused by the fact that she had an issue with her registration. Exactly. Now, yeah, I don't want
Her registration.
speculating.
Does that have
assume
to
what
do with
happened
him?
there, but certainly those are the facts that came out at trial. And so ultimately, whether
They
he was
did.
going to take it or not, he
But
may
they
have
hold
taken
no
her.
weight.
Obviously, he pulled her over because the system
Oh my God, he's
testified
gut
that
explaining.
there was an issue with her license. But because of the fact that this all went on, perhaps the obstructing was that he didn't feel comfortable to write. It wasn't worth writing this
Oh my
ticket.
Lord.
She already was informed of it so that he could deal with this other situation of this individual who was clearly obstructing with his ability.
You gotta be so sad to be so
Ken,
sad.
just stop while you're way behind.
Whether he was going to release her, whether he was going to write the ticket. But the problem is the impediment is the individual who's continuing to yell.
Brody sounds FOS.
Look at the
100%.
lawyer. He's like,
Never
keep
do
saying
that,
things
man.
because
All
you're
the
winning my
officer had to
case.
do was say, because I had to
Here, let's
deal
go
with
back and
it.
Dude,
listen
you're
since
winning my
everybody's
case.
talking and nobody can hear anything.
That came out at trial. And so
Mute all the
ultimately, whether he was going to take it or not, he may have taken her. Obviously, he pulled her over because the system, as he testified, said that there was an issue with her license. And
Can you hear me?
But because of the
Yes.
fact that this all went on, perhaps the obstructing was that he didn't feel comfortable to write. It wasn't worth writing this ticket. She already was informed of it so that he could deal with this other situation of this individual who's clearly obstructing with his ability to get to the very end of his investigation, whether he was going to release her or whether he was going to write the ticket. But the problem is the impediment is the individual who's continuing to yell and stand a number of
You
feet
could
away.
never do that then, if all the officer had to do was say, because I had to go deal with this, I couldn't write the citation.
Michael, pause a sec.
Right?
I think it's time, place, and manner specific.
Go for it.
Tech Scout, did you need to say something?
All I'm saying is like this guy is winning our case for us. Do you hear him?
We do it.
all of-
The audience wants to hear him too. That's the problem.
No. That's why I'm saying like listen to this point. That's why I'm pointing. Like
Well, they
listen to
can't.
his point. Well, I'm just doing like sign language. Is that okay?
Gotcha. I
Yeah.
just want to make
It
sure
was
you
silent.
I saw you wanted to say something.
Oh
Okay.
no! I'm
Look at
trying
the
to just say
sidebar.
like because I
It's like
couldn't
getting a
be
lot of
silent,
complaints about the
listen
sidebar
to
that nobody can
this
hear
right
anything.
here. Like this.
Mute the
this
mic. Mute the
validates.
mic.
All right, no problem. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and
Heard.
play it.
You know, in this particular case, when you watch the video, I think he is that much of a problem that this officer ended up, talking to him more.
But what's the obstruction? It's not the words and it's not the filming. I mean, the officer, to his credit, he said right away, you can film, you just need to back up. And I understand he didn't want him talking to the driver, but it didn't appear to me as though after he was instructed, don't talk to my driver, he didn't talk to her anymore. Is that accurate?
That is accurate, yes.
Right.
And everyone testifies to that.
Right, and then he backed up. I mean, I
More
understand the
secure.
officer didn't think it was enough, and so, I mean, is it just that he didn't back up far enough for the officer? That was the obstruction?
He didn't back up far enough in addition to
Two
the
for Chille.
manner in which he was acting. So
It's ridiculous.
had there been a conversation
Two for
saying,
Chille.
officer, and again, everything is so fact specific, right? But the fact that DeCastro is immediately yelling, arguing with the officer about the amount of backing up that needs to be done, that's what the issue
Who wouldn't argue it?
isn't about the space in itself or the distance in itself. It's a combination of factors of everything
It's a
involved.
2-1.
Now, Mr. Oram says that depending on who the officer was and where it was at night, I believe where it was could play into it, but I think it's an unfair statement to assume that some officer, simply by virtue of being a female, would somehow be in an incredibly worse position, and that Mr. DeCastro, for instance, could treat her differently or would need to treat her differently than the officer that we have involved here. I think
Well,
Really?
easy on the side
Her
of the
privacy
road,
means
3
more
a.m.
than
on that
anything
road,
because she's
you need
female.
for any
Reno
individual,
and Vegas.
for any individual, I would agree. For any
I
individual.
agree.
I'm just saying that it seems incredibly sexist to say that somehow a female officer would be unable to defend herself on that Healy Road, but somehow a male officer would be automatically good to deal with the DeCastros of the world who want to do an investigation. That's what I'm simply saying.
Wow.
Wholeheartedly disagree with the characterization there in terms of the time, place, and manner. But I agree, an isolated road could be a factor, but they're all just factors. This case has its own facts. There will be other cases that come through the line, but I'm just arguing that pursuant to these particular facts, he was convicted of obstructing. And Mr. Arm doesn't address at all that second issue, which has to do with the resisting portion of it. Now, I think the case law is
That
clear.
Lisenby case. I mean,
Yeah, but here's the problem. I'll just share with you. If this was California or Texas, if it's a false arrest to begin with, it's a justifiable use of force if you are resisting the arrest.
so even if, let's say, even if I agree that this was an obstruction, it was unlawful to detain him, that Lisenby case seems to indicate you still can't resist.
And that would be our argument. If he hasn't addressed it, I'm sure he will on his reply, but that's the last of my argument.
Bullshit.
And I'll address that. First of all, I didn't mean in any way, Judge, if you could take the biggest male officer, I meant just giving the scenario, it could be 1 a.m, 3 a.m, female, male. I didn't mean it that way. I just meant the visual, how it's different there. What I just heard was sort of interesting. Mr. Chen just said, I didn't argue the 21-foot rule because it didn't, it's not applicable. They sure did it drop, didn't they? That's what they argued. Even the prosecutor argued it. So Mr. Chen is only retreating from it because it's not a rule and it makes no sense. It's something used, as we talked about, in self-defense type issues.
Right, but if the officer would have said that, I'm not sure that would have been unreasonable.
I
I really want you to be about 21
Yes.
feet back,
Yes.
give me some space, and
Right,
don't go past this white line. I mean, there were markers in the parking lot.
right. And if he had grabbed his citation started and Mr. Castro got in the way, you're not going to do that. It's obstruction. This is an obstruction. And the 10 feet, I agree. Is it 10 if you're only 9.5 feet? No, I don't think that's the point. The point they're trying to make is that our statute tells us we can film police officers. It doesn't say 10 feet, 21 feet, it just says filming them. When he was told to back up, he did. And the state is now saying, yes, we all agree with that. We're quibbling over words. I'm only quibbling over words because they kept saying at trial he wouldn't back up, which is not quibbling with words, it's inaccurate.
That's true. I mean, he did testify in direct examination repeatedly that he didn't back up.
Yes,
But on cross indicated, when he did back up, he just didn't back up.
substantial.
Yeah, he may have backed up inches. He didn't substantially back up.
Now, with regard to what are the intentions, I keep hearing, what are these intentions? He didn't know what the intentions are. And then that's why I put up, because I think there was some testimony that I don't know who this guy is connected to. You don't know who this person is. Well, the officers in Floyd didn't know who these people were. The people filming, they didn't know it was an off-duty firefighter. They probably had done something different if they knew who they were dealing with. But they didn't know, and so the same arguments could be made. Oh, they're within 10 feet, officer safety. Maybe those are all gang members, and they're the same gang as George Floyd. It's his brother, I won't be sexist. It's his sister who's gonna pull out a gun, or some other person, male, female, gonna pull out a gun and shoot. So we are doing this for officer safety. No, it isn't. And the courts, you can look at George Floyd and realize the courts, in a big case in the United States, these people have a right to do that. And the question I really have, I think is important. There was no abuse. The officer wasn't doing anything abusive to the driver. It's clear as day. Okay? What if he was? And he caught him on film. And now it's hitting CNN and Fox and all of this stuff. Then they say, oh yeah, we caught him, and 10 years from now, the Third Circuit's going to be quoting what he did. But he didn't catch them. So is that the standard? Can we film police officers if they're not doing anything wrong, and I'm using obnoxious language, then I can be arrested? Is that what the standard? It isn't.
That is the standard, by the way, guys. What do you guys think? Isn't that the standard?
What they do.
That's what they do.
You muted, Mike.
Yeah, he's obnoxious. I'm going to figure out a reason to arrest him. That's what it is.
Obstruction.
Yeah, or they'll just start talking with you, and then they'll beat you up, and then charge you with
Well, they'll just face plant you.
It's called POP.
Yeah,
pissing off the police.
Pissing off the
You saw what they
police.
did to
That's
Kara.
what my ex-lawyer that just passed away used to say about my ex conviction that I got in Duncanville. He was like, you know what you got arrested for? And he said POP. And I said, well, what crime is that? And he said, pissing off the police.
Oh my gosh.
Well, they don't like to hear the truth.
And if you look at my shorts, and if you look at my shorts back in the day when I got arrested, my shorts even say it, POP.
Yeah, it's funny when I see people say stuff like, "Oh, he did interfere with the stop," right? Like they'll say stuff like that. "Oh, you interfered with the stop." Well, we just found out that he did not interfere with the stop, and that was total bullshit. I told you guys that from day one. He did not interfere with the stop.
That's why I don't think police officers should be able to arrest without a prosecuting, willing to charge, or a sergeant on scene to sign off on it, so they both get sued.
He was engaged in a constitutionally protected activity. And yet you trolls and you Canadians, for some reason, you just love the government so much. I just don't understand it.
Right there, baby.
Yeah, an officer on the street. How can an officer be counted as reasonable on the street?
Makes no
sense. It just
sense.
Doesn't make sense.
Objectively or subjectively, not at all.
Let's let these guys finish up.
The
You're
application.
allowed to be annoying.
I'm sorry.
You're allowed to be annoying.
You're allowed to be annoying.
You're allowed to say, I mean,
You're allowed to be obnoxious.
and I realize we as lawyers appear in front of judges all the time. We appear in front of juries. We're trying not to, want to be obnoxious. It won't help your case. It won't help that. But I recognize this is some cornerstone. It's a foundation of our nation. The resisting. Did you notice the officer said, "Oh, when this resisting is happening, my body cam all of a sudden doesn't go out." He testified he never resisted, and you can see it on him. He tells him, "Don't do it." The officer really grabs him hard. And then he's like, "Okay, I'm walking." You even see him with his camera. "I'm walking back to your car."
Get away from
There's
me,
no
doggy.
resisting. He's trying to tell him, you're being unconstitutional. He does say it. "You can't do this to me. Call your supervisor." But they get him in handcuffs, and there he sits. By the way, the state didn't ask for him to sit there. Agnes Lexus asked for a suspended sentence, and Judge Zimmerman decided to give him the maximum.
Yep.
He's been in there 4.5 months for this. And I kind of wonder.
So that characterization is it's not a maximum. It's 3 months on each count.
Right, yeah.
Oh, you're right. Okay, you're right. I stand corrected. For whatever reason, I guess misdemeanor 6 months, 6 months. So she gets it. But the state didn't ask for that. They asked for concurrent 90 days suspended. It goes to show what really happened. There were so many different errors, and I can tell the court has a good handle of this.
It was a
There is
mistake
no
because I'm backstage.
unconstitutional arrest. The man should receive the benefit. I mean, we have a beyond reasonable doubt standard. We can look at Wilson.
My fingers are greasy. I'm making dinner.
They almost sound like me
I'll
in a
sit
bad
around.
murder case where they're saying, well, what is physical conduct or contact? Because that's what Wilson said. And they're struggling with it because they don't even, because there's no physical contact. Backing up and filming and then pulling out a second camera. It's not physical conduct. It's nothing physical. It doesn't do anything physical.
And Michael, I just want to point something out right there.
Yes, sir. Hold up. Go ahead, man. Talk to me.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys noticed, but Mr. Orem right there, how he backed up and he actually demonstrated physically what was going on. That's so important for an attorney to be able to do that.
Absolutely. I
He's
agree.
painting
Give me
the
a bunch of
picture.
ones for Orem.
He's painting the picture.
Give me a bunch of
every
ones
good
for
sale-
Attorney Orem.
That's what every good salesperson does, right, Mike? Paint the picture.
Absolutely. And get them to shake their head and agree and say yes. It's
Little
so
yes,
important.
little head nods.
Yeah, just always. All right, we're going to go ahead and keep playing this bad chicken. I'm getting kind of tired and hungry too, guys, so I want to try to burn through
Textile's
this.
making dinner for you.
Irritated, maybe we understand. It's not.
Yeah, you can understand. I can understand.
Okay,
And
yeah.
it kind of comes out of nowhere.
It's out of nowhere. It's, who wants to be called names? But that's what the courts are all saying. You've got to endure this. Our citizens have a right to do this. And it also keeps our police, these auditors do help in some way because sometimes they prove police are doing, if there was an auditor or what
Called
he did,
accountability.
that woman was like, oh, he was saying these things. No, he wasn't. If I'm not a witness to it, no, he isn't. And the video shows that if somebody was filming it, he wasn't doing anything wrong. So some false allegation by some crazy lady, right?
Right.
It hurts them sometimes. And also sometimes it catches bad police officers. Here, what we have is a situation where you have a right to do it. And so for those reasons, I ask that you grant the appeal and reverse this man's conviction.
Anything else from the state?
I would only briefly say that in the Floyd case, no one was arrested. That's what the distinction is there. So
That's what the distinction
people
is.
were
Wow.
Yeah, we just killed the guy
other things
instead.
happened from that case. The issue is not that they were filming, that no one was arrested there. And the case law makes it clear in Lisenby and other ones, if there's a
Let me just share something with you. Again, he starts packing his stuff. Orem starts packing his stuff. Watch what the judge starts to do.
of substantial harm or death, then individuals can actually interfere and it wouldn't be obstruction. So the case law, I just want to point out that distinction, but otherwise I have nothing else.
So this time the court's gonna grant the appeal and reverse the convictions.
Sweet.
Based on.
Yeah.
Conduct and harm.
He's
Yeehaw.
grabbed her shit. He's out of here, just like Orem. Orem led that. Orem led her down that path.
He'll be released.
We're gonna play it back because I want y'all to hear this.
And also, sometimes it catches bad police officers. Here, what we have is a situation where you have a right to do it. And so for those reasons, I ask that you grant the appeal and reverse this man's conviction.
Yeah, he's already packing.
Well, I think the fight and the
I'll only briefly say that in the Floyd case, no one was arrested. That's what the distinction is there. So people were allowed to film the encounter, and obviously other things happened from that case. The issue is not that they were filming, that no one was arrested there. And the case law makes it clear in the other ones, if there's a probability of substantial harm or death, then individuals can actually interfere and it wouldn't be obstructed. So the case law, I just want to point out that distinction, but otherwise I have nothing else.
So this time the court's gonna grant the appeal and reverse the convictions, based on its First Amendment protected conduct and harm prepared in court.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Yeehaw again.
Give me a bunch of claps. Give me a bunch of ones in the sidebar, guys.
Hey.
Brody, we got to get rid of this Terry versus Ohio policy garbage that they got in these things, in these departments.
Yes, agreed.
It's detainment crap. It's garbage. I'm so happy Chille's out and we can continue
Well,
this
he's not
fight.
out yet. He's not out yet, but he's
Right? Yeah, he's coming. He's coming home.
No matter what, they're letting out.
That is an arrestable offense.
Doubles
What do you
down.
do? Arrest him after he just was ordered to be released?
That was an arrestable offense.
gonna go give him a talking to out in the hallway and exercise his dominance over him. All right. So
Now it is time for the
you guys-
last word with
you guys had
Lawrence
an
O'Donnell.
opportunity to sort of see what was going on and what happens when the police want to ask you stupid questions like.
So my question: has the real media covered this yet? Has like anyone in Nevada, any of the
That's right. Where are your papers? Hold on.
Papers 9.
And Texas
Debunking
Gal, you
man.
got anything you want to share with us? Because we're done. We're done with the show. So guys, now it's talk time.
If it's Wednesday, new.
Well, it would have been talk time if I could get rid of that stupid thing.
Well, I just want to know if any of the real news media outlets have did any kind of newscasting on this story. That's what
It would seem a very important overturning right here, considering the guy claiming to be what he is now being freed under the case that he's been saying. I mean, this whole thing should be like worldwide,
super
practically
big, super big,
at this
right?
point. Yeah, I mean, the
Like,
troops
super
overseas
big.
should know. The troops overseas should know about this.
Right. And who's covering this?
Yeah,
And why
it does.
aren't they covering it? And why are they covering it up, or whatever you want to call it? Or it is not interesting. It's not interesting because look how many views he got on the internet and how many people covered him.
Yeah.
So it is that interesting. So I want to know, I haven't seen anything. I keep looking on the main media. I haven't seen anything yet posted about Chille. That makes me a little skeptical.
Well, look at what Kinetic Custom says. And this is something that I was trying to share with y'all before we started. Look at all the lawyers who are just trashing Chille, all of the fake lawyers and all the frauditor community people just trashing Chille, just hoping to God that he'll go to prison for life because they hate him so much. They don't care about the Constitution or the Bill of Rights at all. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I just had to mute her mic because I can't deal with all the pots and pans clanging. But bottom line is, guys,
a lot of noise.
The bottom line is, guys, is that Chille DeCastro was within his rights. And I know that a lot of you don't like the way he behaves or whatever. And I don't really, it doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that he was innocent. And I knew that he was innocent the whole time.
Doesn't
so
matter.
did you guys. And so I appreciate everybody in this channel right now who are loyal to Chille and didn't go run with their tail between the legs and hide, hoping things would turn out for the best. Less than 3% of our founding fathers participated in the revolution. And guess what? We're the 3% right here sitting in this channel talking to you. And I'm going to go ahead and unmute her because I know you got something to say, Texas Gal. Talk to me.
No, I don't. I'm sorry. I know I was cooking. My bad. I got a
Nine.
to pertain to.
Nine.
I'm done with the most part of it.
You guys are something else, man.
I mean, I'm a character.
I'll have to give you one more 999 before we go. All right.
Sure, papers 9.
Yeah. I got to show you your papers. What is deinen Papieren?
Where are your papers, Mav? Where are they,
Mav?
Oh, you don't have any papers? How's your papers, Mav?
So, guys, everybody in the sidebar, got any questions before we go? Does anybody want to ask Brick or BZ Watchdog anything? Make sure to subscribe to BZ Watchdog's channel. Brick, tell us your channel. And Texas Gal, tell us your channel. And if Let's TVO has a channel, everybody tell us what your channels are so people can like and subscribe to y'all.
Yeah. So, it's really been great being up here on the panel. I'm really happy. I'm excited that Chille Dog's out and, he gets my vote. That's my governor right there. I'm going to tell you right now, the man wants to overturn. Yeah, he wants to overturn Terry versus Ohio. I'm down for that. If you want to, I do have the ability to go live at this point. I have over 50 subscribers. You can find me at Brick Jonesy. This is the same as the name. And sub up for me. That'd be great. The more, the better. When I do go live, I'm going to be doing the best I can to further this cause and some other causes that I do certainly believe in. Let's turn this case law over and we don't stop. We don't stop.
Right.
How about that one?
Texas Gal, what's your channel? Shout us out.
Texas Gal. So it'd be the whole state Texas Gal, like you would say it, country like GAL audits. It's like I'm auditing the FBI.
It's
right there on her name.
Yeah.
So
what about
pretty
you, Let's
easy.
TVO?
Yeah, I'm not big enough to have a channel or to be able to debate any of these big players, obviously. But I would like to get at least 50 subs so that I could go live. Currently,
All right.
I'm
What's your
sitting at
channel?
37.
What's your channel?
Let's OTVO at gmail.com. That's it. Let's
All right, guys. So we got Let's Go TVO, BZ Watchdog
out there, guys.
Get him up to 50 now.
You
BZ
guys got to get
Watchdog.
him up to 50. We got to
BZ,
get him
go.
up to 50.
Go,
All right,
BZ.
All right, mute everybody's mic. So I can get a word in. Oh, there we go. Anyways, guys, hey, at BZ Watchdog, I just want to say, you guys have helped me grow. Chille endorsed me in the very beginning when I started doing this. I just want to let you guys know I was in contact with him a couple of weeks ago. His spirits are high. He's going to come out stronger and bigger and better than anyone can imagine. And it's only going to make us stronger because we don't stop. We're going to get these jackboot Doug pigs. And just make sure before you guys go, and Gloria, do me a favor, put a link, or Scrubzilla, any of you mods, make sure you put the link down to Chille's Trifold, Learn the Law, Know Your Rights. Never talk to the cops. Always invoke your Fifth Amendment right. And just like we were saying in this courtroom, always, always, always film the cops. Film them.
There you go. All right, guys. So that's going to be it for us. Hopefully, Chille will be back within the next couple of days. And with that being said, make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save, because you never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel or anyone else's. If you guys want to follow me on my channel, it's at Michael Eline on YouTube. I post a lot of stuff that's pro-American. I need some help with this Marine who's the government's trying to deport him after they promised him citizenship in exchange for his military service. So I have a lot of causes that I help with pro bono like that. So come and check me out if you want, but you don't have to. And I'm always here to support Chille. So with that being said, one last time, make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save. And Semper Fidelis, guys.